Morning, Facebook. Tim Anderson here. Hey, last night I made a video about the budget, and my eyes were burning when I made the video. I've been staring at a computer screen. I've had the ability now to print it out, look at it even more closely, and I am wondering, where is the media? Where is the reports from the media about what the governor's proposed budget is about? I saw something in the daily press. It glossed over it very closely. And so I want to show this to you in paper now. I have it all printed out on my desk for everybody to look at. It'll be easier to absorb just how crazy this budget really looks like. So I'm going to flip it over here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I'm showing you here, these two pages, all right, this is the 2019 budget. And if you look here, this is what they anticipated, and then this is what they're estimating for 2020. Now, they do these budgets 2 years in advance, and I want to show you the numbers so that you can see them. Now, you may have to stop this video and really look at them, all right? But these are the numbers for 2019 and 2020, okay? So for the purposes of this budget, I am going to be operating off of these numbers, all right? Now, this is the identical budget for the 2021 session when they're running their budget. Now, these notes right here are the increases in the budget for these particular departments. Now, look, I just did these in my head. I didn't actually but, you know, for instance, like the legislative department's got a $3 million budget difference. Now, you can see that here. 104 million here, right, compared to 101 million here. So see how it's like $3 million bucks, right? Okay. So I went through and I did all this stuff, right? Okay. The Office of Administration is getting a $200 million kick. Now, I can't 100% understand why that is happening, but it's going to $3.7 billion. And if we look over here, it was $3.5 billion. So that's about $200 million for the Office of Administration, okay? Looks like education's getting a big boost, which that's, well, overall. Okay, so here's the executive department. So the executive department is $64,944, or $64 billion, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, $64,944,000 for the executive department. Here, it was $60,699,699. So that's roughly about $4 billion to the executive department. So a lot of money is going to the executive. And then I went through and I kind of broke down where the big changes are. Education's getting a good chunk of it. Health and Human Services, which, by the way, a lot of that is going to the Medicaid expansion. So when your taxes go up, you can thank the Democrats for that. $4 billion, just mostly a lot of it going to Medicaid. But I'm not here to talk about social issues. I'm here to talk about the Second Amendment. Okay, here's the big one right here. Office of Public Safety and Homeland Security. Okay, $400 million. Okay, now over here, which is this line right here for 2020, we got $3,200,000,000. So it's a $200 million increase to public safety. So why is that? Well, we're going to take these papers now and I'll put them to the side. All right. So now let's dig into the bill, and we're going to work off of these same numbers, which are to tell us where the real money for Office of Public and Homeland Security is going. Okay, so flipping here to 2020, they had a $2.5 billion budget. I'm flipping over here to the Senate bill. They have, it is going, hey, I'm doing a live video here. It is, sorry about that, guys. It's still in the office. Let me turn my D&D on. Forgot to do that. All right. So back here, let's start over. Office of Public and Homeland Security, $2,500,000,000. Now it's going to go to $3,400,000,000. Okay, so it's obviously a big chunk of money is going to Homeland Security. Now, going through and looking at all of the numbers, the biggest one is right here. The Department of Corrections. Their number for 2019 was $1,200,000,000. It actually went down a little bit for 2020 to $1,270,000,000. And now you come over here and you look at the Department of Corrections, which is right here, and it's going up $100,000,000. Okay. Now the vast majority of that, and it even gets even more technical than that. You know, it kind of shows you where all this money is and all this. But this is the big one right here. The administrative support for the Department of Corrections was $104 million in 2019. Right? It is $110 million for proposed 2020. Now, this is obviously when the Republicans were in charge. And then it's jumping up here to by $70 million just in this one category. Now, these other things are, are adjusted. Now, here's the thing about budgets, as I understand them, is that once they get the money, once the Department of Corrections get this money, they can allocate it into these different categories as necessary. Now, obviously this is the big one that we're all concerned about, operation of secured facilities. All right, they're saying $827 million for 2021. However, when you look back just at this last $827 million, when you just look back at last year, they had operating expenses of $1 billion. They also had operating expenses in 2019 of $1 billion. Well, this is 2019, but then they're anticipating it's going to be about $1 billion in 2020. So why is it that for 2 years that they are still saying that operation of secured facilities is going to only be $827 million, but then they're increasing their support staff pay by $70 million. Does that make sense to you? I mean, the budget reads in such a way that operation of secured facilities is actually going to go down, but we're going to need more people to support the Department of Corrections. It sounds like to me more, and I'm waiting for an answer from the media, somebody who actually does this for a living, are they really just trying to increase this top number so that they can spread it into these categories? And can they spread it into these categories? Because if you look at the operation of secured facilities over here, the budget for 2019 was $1,006,000,000, but it went to $1,014,000,000. So that money had to come from somewhere. So they had to get it from somebody to be able to continue to do that. If the prisons are costing $1 billion a year to run, why are they proposing that it is only going to be $827 million, but then they're going to kick up all the administrative and support people by almost $70-80 million? That sounds very fishy to me. That sounds like at least a reporter should want to get in on this and try to explain that. Now, I do know that the folks are getting a raise this year, but it shouldn't be that much of a raise. That's pretty insane. All right, so there you go. There it is, all laid out. There is, out of all of these, and oh, by the way, let me go back to this here. When I looked at all of the numbers here, all the increases the Democrats are going to spend, and all of these things, and we flip it over to, what's the biggest line item that's not health or human services related? It is the Department of Corrections. And I would like a reporter to answer that question. I would like somebody who knows what they're doing to get in there and explain to the population of Virginia why the Department of Correction needs $100 million more within their own budget. They think that secured facilities are going to actually need less money. Come on. Let's have a real honest conversation about what's going on in Richmond, guys. So, back to me for just a minute. I am not a government expert. You should rely on my analysis here, about as good as yours. I'm looking at these things with my own eyes and my own concerns. Why isn't the media reporting about this? Why does the Department of Correction need $100 million according to the governor? What is the answer to that question? Now, a lot of us would like to jump to the conclusion that, well, they're going to lock a lot of people up who are gun owners. That may be. Or there may be a perfectly great explanation for it. But there needs to be an answer. Somebody needs to answer this question to the people of Virginia, including the elected representatives, of why this is happening. All right, so that's my soapbox for the day. I suggest that you not only write to these delegates and senators, but I suggest you write to the media. Ask them to respond to this. Somebody should be talking about this and understanding why $100 million is going to the Department of Corrections in a year where they're talking about substantial gun reform. The other thing I wanted to tell you, speaking of the media, I was on 97.3 The Eagle morning show this morning. We had a 35-minute podcast, which was off air, which is published right here. It's a great conversation with the jocks about the gun control stuff that's happening in Richmond. It's if you're driving in the car, it's a great thing to listen to for a half an hour. So that's there. You can take a listen to that. Have a good day, Facebook. Maybe I will see you later today. All right, bye-bye.